Semi-Retired Bob here. I talk about the carnivore diet, all things related to the carnivore diet, and miscellaneous odds and ends. Today we're going to food reintroduction and a few other topics, depending on how the chat goes and if we have any questions that come up. I see Charger Mopar may or may not still be in the house. I don't know. He left his comment about 15 minutes ago that it's supposed to be his day off, but calls keep coming in, so perhaps he is here or he is not. But if you are here, hello, Rick. Kismet is here. Hello, Kismet. I hope you have a great day. Carnivore Kip is in the house, watching with the power off. Bad storms here today. Oh, nice, nice. Yeah, it's a good thing you have plenty of wood. You can fire up that smoker and still cook some meat. You don't need power to cook meat if you're using a smoker, right? Excellent. Jim is here. Hello, Jim. I'm glad you're here. Yes, all is going very well, all things considered. Friday, it's kind of hot, kind of humid, but it's not terrible. There's a storm supposed to roll in tonight and cool things off a little bit. But for now, it's hot and humid out there. Teresa is here. Hello, Teresa, the smartest gal in the room. If you don't know Teresa, you should go check her out. She is absolutely the smartest person in the room, at least as far as I know. I don't know all of you personally, but she's incredibly smart. Peachy, I got to look over here to see that. Peachy Pamit MD, is that what that says? Well, anyway, Peachy, hello to you. I'm glad you're here. Hello, Craig. Yeah, every time I try to kick on the background, it's starting to freak my laptop out a little bit. My laptop, I think, is on its legs, so I'm not going to overstress it. I'm going to take, probably over the weekend, take this down and go back to the Pittsburgh Steelers wall hanging behind me to see what happens there. I haven't really decided. But when I manage to save up enough money for a new computer, I will go back to the green screen with different backgrounds. So, of course, as Professor K would say, everybody get on that super chat button and send me all your money so I can get a new computer. I'm just teasing. I will work it out eventually. I'm going to have to change the background back out again, though. And what does that say? 11 people already? Awesome. Adrian is here from the UK. Hello. How are you today? And exactly, not worried about cooking at all. Yes, indeed. And Mike is here. Hello, Mike. I hope you're having a great day. And then we got people saying hello to each other. Dawn is here. Hello, Dawn. From West Virginia. I'm glad you're here. And Karsten, when I look over that way, I'm not actually ignoring you guys. Just the screen over here is much, much bigger than the screen over here. So, and I still can't see. Does that say Bornman? Anyway, Karsten, hello to you. I'm glad you're here. And Rick is still here, just been working with a customer over the phone. Yes, indeed. I understand. We all got to make some money. Everybody's got to make a little money somehow. And I've been trying to decide what preparation for a boneless leg of lamb that has been in the freezer for ages. I cooked a leg of lamb one time, and I just wrapped it in aluminum foil, stuck it in the oven for a couple of hours, and then brought it out, threw it in the cast iron and with some grease and seared it on all sides. And that's what I did. But, it's whatever you come up with is probably better because I am not much of a cook. Yes, indeed. Hit the button. Indeed. What do we got here? Doing awesome. Currently watching soccer game. My country Poland plays Germany. Excellent. Excellent. That's one of the sports. because I found that I didn't grow up with it, I have a hard time watching, and because I don't understand the rules, soccer or anywhere else but here in the U.S. football, and I'm not have a hockey team at the time. They do now, but when I was growing up in Ohio, there was no hockey team there either. And of course, I grew up in the era of ABC, NBC, CBS. Those were the three TV channels you got. So you watched whatever they decided you were going to watch, and hockey very rarely was an option to watch when I was a kid. So I don't really understand hockey that much either. So hockey and soccer, not such a big fan. I do like American football, both college and pros. I like baseball as it gets closer to playoff time. I like to keep track and see how my Reds are doing. I usually just look at the standings one day a week to see how the Reds are doing. And that's about all the baseball I follow this time of year. Of course, the College World Series is in Omaha now, so that's going to occupy a great deal of the city's time for the next 2 weeks. And let's just move on here. Talking to Kip. And Joey girl, hello from Ohio. I've probably asked you this before, but what part of Ohio are you from? Because I'm originally from southeastern Ohio, Hocking County to be exact, down there by the Hocking Hills. I grew up walking distance to Ash Cave, and it was a very short trip over to Old Man's Cave. And Carnivore Kip wants to know, Bob, what time do you usually go to bed? I'm an old guy. I usually go to bed between 9:30 and 10 o'clock at night. And then I get up sometime about 6 in the morning. Pro sports, a great excuse to mock athletes. Oh, yeah. I used to watch pro basketball, and in my personal opinion, this is just my view, pro basketball is becoming more and more of a joke. Back in the day, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, those guys knew how to play the game. Now, it's all about just hucking up stairs, and if you get touched, you fall down and scream in pain like you've been killed. Just like pro football, everybody wants to talk about, and I understand for this era, Tom Brady is great. But how many more touchdowns would Joe Montana have thrown to Jerry Rice if they had today's rules? Because if you go back and watch some of the games that Joe Montana and Jerry Rice played in, mugged every time on every play. They just got mugged. And yet they still managed to complete all those passes to each other. So there, that's my sports opinion for today. Joey goes, says, talk to us about your health and weight journey. I always loved hearing about that. Well, I originally started this. I was not looking for weight loss. I was just looking to be able to stand for more than 2.5 minutes at a time. I actually did not expect to lose weight because I was convinced that I was just one of those body types that could never lose weight. I was just stuck getting older and fatter and sicker as I got older, but I was hoping to get a little bit of pain relief from the diet, the way of eating. I don't even like to call it a diet because any diet, yes, diet is the term you use for whatever you're eating, but as far as the term diet goes, carnivore does not seem like a diet because I can literally eat as much as I want. And I have to be honest, I am primarily one meal a day, and I still try to get one big meal in a day to get that protein spike on my insulin that helps keep your kidneys healthy. But I've been doing so much between, working at the miniature golf course and doing all my own yard work, including cutting the grass, trimming the bushes, cutting up twigs, going to the pool twice a week to walk in chest deep water, going to the wide workout with the cable machine twice a week, still doing my push-ups and my wall put-ups, and I've added some jumping jacks into that to start working on jumping. And I'm doing so much that I've started to get hungry. So about every third day or so, I'll grab either 6 boiled eggs or a couple of pre-made burger patties out of the fridge and eat a small second meal a couple hours before bedtime, because I think because I've lost so much weight that the little bit of fat I have left on my body is not quite enough to keep me going through all of the activity that I've been having. So I am eating a second small meal 2 or 3 times a week. But yeah, like I said, I didn't go into this looking for weight loss. I was looking for pain relief, and I'm down about 154 pounds in 13 months. And that's just a side effect of all the other things that I have cured. I mean, diabetes, my gout, stage 1 chronic kidney disease, fatty liver disease, arthritis, spinal stenosis. I move so much better now. I'm out walking every day. And that's the other thing I forgot. Plus, I'm still taking walks. So I'm doing a lot, and that is contributing a lot to having to add a small second meal. About 20 minutes south of Akron. Oh, okay. That's starting to get down there into the country section of the state. And Alan is here from Alan's Awesome Keto World. How are you this afternoon? 10 minutes from the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Even though I could care less about that sport, it seems to be a landmark people know. Yes, indeed. I like the building. I've only been in there a couple of times in my life, but I mean, how can you not like a building shaped like a ball? It's a great building. Never cared about spectator sports. I understand. Sports is not for everybody. We need to get, let's see. We need to get on our live stream on Saturday. We go live at 8 Central. It's a little late. And, you know, Sean actually sent me an email about that. And 8 Central is, I can stay awake for something like that. The problem is that right now you guys are on Saturdays. And, you know, I don't go to bed that early on Friday or Saturday night because I'm working at the miniature golf course. I'm happy to come on sometime if you have it on a day other than Friday or Saturday evening, or maybe this fall after I get past the miniature golf season. But, you know, right now on Saturday, I'm at the miniature golf course from 5 in the afternoon to midnight. I'm right in the middle of your live stream. JM, I have type 2 diabetes and gout. How to reverse? The first answer is don't eat carbs. I mean, type 2 diabetes is elevated blood glucose. Just stop eating carbs. Get as close to zero as you can. Do the carnivore diet. And again, this is not medical advice. This is just my opinion. That's how I did it. And there are many people with gout that start carnivore, and because of the surge of purines from eating a bunch of meat, you do end up getting one more gout attack. But I did not. I started this way of eating, and after having, you know, anywhere from 6 to 10 major gout attacks a year for the previous 40 years, I have not had a single gout since I started this way of eating 13 months ago. And type 2 diabetes is just elevated blood glucose. Just stop eating carbs. That's the easiest answer. You know, obviously, if you're, depending on how much medication and what types of medication you're taking, you're going to want to consult with your healthcare professional and do it in a sensible way. But the primary answer to type 2 diabetes is stop eating carbs. Yes, you're never turned into something awesome. Thank you very much, Joey. Joey girl. Hard to gain. It's harder to gain weight than lose weight. It could be because I think if your body is metabolically stable, the only way to actually, if everything's in balance and you're eating the proper human diet, I think the only way to actually put on weight is to lift heavy things. And not all of us have, all day to go to the gym and work out and do all those kinds of things. Although I'm guessing that even though you're very thin, Rick, I'm guessing with the type of work you do that there's some muscle underneath those clothes too. And Teresa says, yes, JM, you need to go low carb or carnivore. I am eating a brisket that I smoked for 15 hours. Delicious. Should I start a barbecue to compete with Kip? I think you should start a sardine channel. And you should start a sardine channel and tell us how you feel after 30 days of only eating sardines, and then 60 days and 90 days. And then when you fall over and die, I'll be there to help pick you back up again. I don't think it would actually kill you because you seem to like them. I know I would die if I tried to do 30 days of just sardines because I don't like sardines. And after a couple of days of trying to choke them down, I would just stop eating. And that's never a good thing. But yeah, make a sardine channel, Craig. That'd be awesome. Yep. And he eats 3 times a day. Yes, indeed. Question. Hi, Bob. Do you ever eat cheese? I ate in the beginning. I have not for quite some time. There for a while, just before I came back north, when I was adding tuna to my ground beef, because when I was in North Carolina, I bought the Suspect Big Box store ground beef. I mixed a can of tuna in with it, which was very good, but I also dumped some grated Parmesan cheese over it. And something in that mix ended up giving me a little bit of problem. I suspect it was the cheese, but I don't know. At some point, I'm going to try and reintroduce cheese, but not just yet. I'm still just a little bit off my goal. And speaking of my goal, it's 160 pounds is where I said my goal was. In listening to Professor K and several others, I've calculated using the BMI scale, which is a terrible scale, but it gives a basic overview of populations. And according to everything I can find, the ideal weight for somebody my height is somewhere between 145 and 146 pounds. So I still have about 20 pounds to go. So I figure I will say I'm in maintenance mode if I actually get to 150 pounds. We'll see what happens. I'm not in any hurry because I'm concentrating more on body composition than I am on weight loss at this point. And because I've been doing so many things, I think I'm packing on muscle in places I never thought I'd pack muscle on. And yes, a pound of fat and a pound of muscle is exactly the same thing, but for body composition, muscle is much heavier than fat, and it's also much better for your metabolism. So we'll see where that goes. But no, I'm not currently eating cheese, but I did at the beginning. I mean, at the beginning, I had mozzarella cheese and cheddar cheese. I really like cheddar cheese. That's one of the things I may try and reintroduce at some point. Of diabetes, need to keep it down in order to reverse here. But insulin reacts to blood sugar, whether it be from carbs or from proteins. If you get an increase in blood sugar, then that causes an insulin reaction. Back again. I certainly hope you can see me. Running off of, I'm not on Wi-Fi. I am on a plugged-in router. You are connected to the internet. Let me see if I have. Let me see if I can fix this. Because again, I don't know why it keeps doing that. If you need help, yes, absolutely. If you need help starting in a community of support, consider joining Dr. Barry's Proper Human Diet Tribe. She's got the link for that there. And it's $5 a month. If you're only going to spend $5 on your health, that's the place to spend the $5. Dr. Barry's private community. Bob, you are an inspiration. Hard to imagine how many health issues you've had and are only a few years older than me. Carnivore is like a miracle. It is. It really is. And, I don't know if you saw my video a couple of days ago about magic, but when you're first talking to somebody about carnivore, I've decided that, only talking about one thing, their primary complaint, is the best way to go. Because if you start talking about, if I, like I just did, I listed all the things that I've corrected with the carnivore diet. Well, it sounds almost like magic, or as Professor K would say, hairy-legged hippie woo-woo science. But it's not. So if you just, you find out the person's primary complaint, it's like, well, in my case, it was I'd like to try to have a little pain relief. Just say, well, perhaps, I can't say it definitely will, but perhaps this way of eating can help your pain levels. Why not try it for 30 or 45 days and see what happens? And at that point, they'll start to notice some changes, and hopefully that will keep them going and moving in the right direction. So yes, carnivore is like magic or a miracle. And Alan says he's doing good. Out for my lunchtime walk. Excellent. You should see the Pro Football Hall of Fame village they're built now. It's crazy. I have not been up that way in, probably 30 years. Maybe 20. I don't know. I have a cousin that still lives up by Cleveland. So I go up, when I'm up that way, I will go up, what is that, 77 over on that side of the state. I'll go up that way to her house, but I haven't actually gotten off the freeway and driven over towards the Akron Pro Football Hall of Fame area in a really long time. Question: how much time do you walk every day and what time of day? That's a really good question. On my everyday walking, I primarily walk for about 15 or 20 minutes after I eat. I wait 5 minutes, and then I go out and take a 10 to 15 minute walk. When I'm doing a big walk for recording the video or my exercise for the day, which I haven't done in quite some time because I got so much other stuff going on. But if you go back and watch some of my walking videos that I finished up down in North Carolina, I would walk anywhere from 2 to 3 hours, depending on how far I was going to try and go. The most I've walked since I've got back to town, because I'm doing so much other stuff now, about once a week I'll go out for about an hour to an hour and 15-minute walk. And Sandra is here, and she's in Michigan. We try not to hold that against her. How are you today, Sandra? I'm glad you're here. And Kip says, we'll talk about Sean and see what we can do. I wish my weight loss would side effect a bit quicker, but I know the bone loss has to heal too, and that makes me weigh more. Absolutely. That's one of the big ones. If your bones were getting weak and brittle, it's going to be really, really hard to reduce your gravity exerted on the scale as your bones heal themselves and get stronger, because bones are very heavy compared to other tissues. John Kelly is here. Hello, John. I'm glad you're here. Bob, I get really hungry before bed, so I drink a quarter cup of heavy whipping cream before bed, and it works for me. Also, thanks for your view on doctors prescribing pills when many times they are not needed. Yes, I'm always surprised. You know, I've had this conversation with a few people. If you're a pet owner and you take your pet to the vet because they're having a problem, one of the first questions the vet will always ask is, what are you feeding this animal and how are they eating? When was the last time that was one of the first 2 or 3 questions your doctor asked you? Just a little food for thought there. Jennifer looks like she has a question. Does anyone in here who has diabetes have tingling when laying in bed? I used to. I got tingling, and I think it was a little bit of diabetic neuropathy in my toes. When I was laying in bed, my toes would feel like they were swollen, even though if I look at them, they're not swollen. It just has that kind of tight tingliness that made it feel like my toes were swollen. I don't get that nearly as much anymore. And I think in part because of the plasma flow that I take here from Cerule, one of the fine products that they offer at Cerule, link in the description. What the plasma flow does is it dissolves the fibrin deposits in your very small blood vessels to let the blood flow more freely. And part of the damage of diabetes is it does really bad things to your small blood vessels going to your toes, your eyes, and basically every part of your body. But that's why diabetics, if they don't do something about it, start off by losing a toe, and then they lose their whole foot, and then they lose their leg up to their knee, and then they go blind, and then the really bad stuff starts to happen. But yeah, it went away. Let's see. It looks like we've got another question. I have tingling in my feet very bad at night when I lay down. Type 2 diabetes. Yes. And I think I pretty much covered that. Yes. It does happen. In my case, it was the start of diabetic neuropathy, but I would check that out with your physician. Perhaps get in Dr. Barry's group and ask the question to him if you don't like what your physician says, or your physician's not interested in working about that. Teresa had her cod liver today. Congratulations, Teresa. I can't do it. I just can't. I can choke down the sardines. Like I said, the one time I had cod liver on Dr. Barry's suggestion, I tried it. He said it was very mild. Not only was it awful, even mixed up with a pound of ground beef, it practically ruined my meal, and my house stunk for a week. I just cannot do cod liver. Bobcat Outdoors. Bob, did you ever feel really bad when you weren't getting enough fat? I'm down 75 pounds in 16 months. But it's like my body is demanding more fat now than ever before. I never had that problem, because if I was a little short on fat in what I was eating, my body had plenty of fat to use. As I've always said, adjusting your fat and protein ratios is, a 5% problem. And you may be at that 5% problem now, where you need more fat ingested to make your body feel good. I've always said, 90 to 95% of anybody's journey can be accomplished with 3 things: eat the meat, add the salt, drink the water. Everything else is a 5% problem. And you don't need to worry about any of it till you're within 5% of where you want to be. So you may have to play with your macros a little bit. What I would do, and I'm not a big advocate of tracking, but I would try to track for just a week just to see where you're at, and that should give you a pretty clear picture of what your fat to protein ratio is. And if you don't feel like tracking, to get to 1-to-1, if you look at a steak on your plate before you cook it, about 7/8 of it should be lean looking meat and 1/8 of it should be fat. And that'll get you really close to a 1-to-1. And what I would do just to start is after you get it cooked, cut up, 2 or 3 tablespoons of butter and set that on a side and eat that as a side dish, or melt it into the steak or whatever. And just see how you feel by adding a little more butter or something like that. And since you're down, you're 16 months in, I suspect you're getting very close to your body's ideal composition. So you may have to play with that just a little bit. And Jennifer is in Michigan also. I'm sorry, I'll try not to hold that against you. Huge Ohio State fan here. That's why I don't talk about that state up north very often. Do you ever eat anything processed like a hot dog? Oh, yeah. I have not recently, not since I've been home, but yeah, when I first started, and I still have, many cases of Spam in the garage. I love Spam. Hot dogs, potted meat, deli meats from the lunch counter. Those are all what I call bronze medal foods. Yes, grass-finished, panda-massaged meat is the gold medal food. It's better than anything. Silver medal food is grain-finished beef and, wild-caught salmon, things like that. That's all what I consider silver medal foods. It's not as good as the gold, but it's still better than everything else. Processed meat, hot dogs, salami, pepperoni, potted meat, all of that kind of stuff, Spam, all of those are the bronze medal foods. Are they as good as the other two? No. But they're still better than anything else. And that's what I started my carnivore journey with. The first couple of months, I had all of the processed meats and ground beef. That's where I started. And I saw tremendous effects from just switching my diet over to the processed meats and ground beef. So don't feel like you have to jump in head first with grass-fed, grass-finished, panda-massaged meat. If you can afford it, supporting your local ranchers is definitely a good way to go. But you don't have to do that. You can get by on, the deli counter for a great portion of your food. Alan says, tuna and beef. Not sure I would like that. It was actually surprisingly good. And Teresa's got some advice for Bobcat Outdoors there. And weight gain is my goal. I started pure carnivore in early May. The first month I gained 6 pounds. Not sure about muscle, fat, bone, water retention contributions, though. One day my body will stabilize. Yes, it will. And gaining weight, unfortunately, once your bones have gotten as strong as they can get and your body has stabilized, the only real way, as far as I know, to gain weight at that point is to lift heavy things and put on some muscle mass. Of course, if all you're actually worried about, and I'm assuming what you're talking about is you'd like to gain muscle, because if you want to gain weight, that's really easy. Just go out and buy yourself a couple of 100 frozen pizzas and eat those every day for lunch. That'll put weight on you in a hurry. But I'm assuming that that's not what you want. I'm assuming that you would like to put on muscle and stay healthy. Do you ever get cravings for dessert? every once in a while, but if I get a craving for dessert, that means I have not eaten enough yet. And if I have already finished off the steak or the roast or whatever it was that I had cooked that day, I'll go get some boiled eggs or meat cookies, hamburger patties, out of the fridge and continue to eat, adding salt until that craving goes away. And that's Teresa O having conversation. How long to burn visceral fat? I'm not heavy at all. It's hard to say. It depends a lot on a lot of other factors. You may have some undiagnosed thing that your body needs to fix before it will start using that visceral fat. You could have some connective tissues or bones that aren't quite up to snuff. There are many reasons. I would suggest if you go to Dr. Barry's channel, if you're looking, if you're in a stall, so to speak, he has a video called 13 Reasons Why You're Not Losing Weight. Investigate all 13 of those, and that should get you your answer. But if you're talking about, the last 5 to 10 to 15 pounds, I know people that have taken a year or more to get that last 5 to 10 to 15 pounds to come off, because that last little bit is tough. It depends on how much of it you're doing and why you think you need to eat veggies. I mean, if you eat them because you like them, that's fine. Just eating meat is the species appropriate, species specific diet. If you go back to our ancestors that lived during the Ice Age, they didn't have a lot of vegetables. Maybe once a year, something like that was right. But so it's entirely up to you. It depends on how much, how quickly you want to reverse it. Yes, as long as you keep your carbs in the 10 to 20 a day, not net carbs, but total carbs. As long as you keep your total carbs under 20 a day, you should eventually reverse your type 2 diabetes. Mine was completely reversed. My A1C went from 10.3 to 4.8 in less than 6 months. But I went on a complete strict carnivore diet. I haven't had any veggies at all. But that is a personal choice. I'm certainly not going to berate anybody, because if you really like a few of the low carb veggies, then by all means you should continue to have those, as long as you're getting the results you're looking for. If you're not getting the results you're looking for, it might be time to look at changing something. Yes, hairy-legged hippie woo-woo science. Have a hard time being strict on the weekend. Are there any tips while you're off to not cheat? I'm good all week. Yeah, just when you are off on the weekends and if you're at home, cook more. If you have to go out somewhere to do some stuff, make sure you stick a baggie full of bacon or boiled eggs or meat cookies, i.e. hamburger patties, in a baggie in your pocket or the glove box of your car or wherever. And if you're truly hungry, even if you don't like cold burgers, if you're truly hungry, that cold burger will taste great. If you look at it and go, oh, I'm hungry, but I'm not hungry for that, you're not really hungry. You're bored, or you're having a craving for something sweet, or whatever it is you're out for. Maybe you're sitting outside a Taco Bell waiting to get a taco. I have no idea what your situation is, but carry some more food with you and eat more. but eat more of the good stuff. Nancy, hello, Nancy from Lodi, California. How you doing today, Nancy? I'm glad you made it in. 16 months ago, I couldn't even cut my own toenails or tie my shoes. Carnivore has been a true blessing. Thanks. I'm glad you're getting success with that, Bobcat. Absolutely. Being able to tie your own shoes and cut your own toenails and all of the other things, that's definitely worth a high five and a fist bump. Good job. And that's Carnivore. Kept saying, oh, let's see here. I kind of like the description, hairy-legged hippie woo-woo magic. Reminds me of crunchy moms, short for granola crunching hippie mamas. Yeah, my toes and feet don't look swollen either. Yeah, I must have gotten way behind on the comments here. But yeah, that's something to look into. And again, if you've tried all the things and all the stuff, now I'm not making any cause and effect claims. The Food and Drug Administration will not allow me to say that the cereal products are designed to diagnose, treat, or cure any diseases. That being said, the Cereal Stem Enhance Ultra and all of the other stuff. I just did a video yesterday where Bart K explains all the science very well. It's called Carnivore Diet Supplements. Just came out. I would suggest you go out and watch that. And if you've tried everything else and you're still, you feel that, kind of swollen, feels, listen to what Professor K has to say about the cereal products. And if you think that's an option for you, there is a link in my description. Like I said, I'm not going to say that it's definitely going to help you. Coincidentally, me starting all of those products is when my shoulders got better and my the swollen feeling in my toes started getting better too. Again, I can't say for sure. It might just be the healing effects of carnivore over the course of time. I can't say, but if you go to Cereal's website by clicking on my link, you'll find links to the science where all of their products do exactly what they say they're going to do. And there is peer-reviewed literature that shows that, because many people were trying to show that they didn't do what they claimed they did, and discovered very quickly in their science that the cereal products actually do what they claim they do. Nothing more, nothing less. I just beat diabetes completely last month, gone forever. Yes, indeed, Carnivore Kip, you certainly did. Question for any new carnivores. Have any of you noticed an increase in body hair growth? A friend of mine started carnivore, but that happened to him. It never seemed to affect me over time, though. And I can't answer that because, I've been bald for a really long time. This is 6 months worth of growth. I'm about ready to cut my hair again. Although it does sort of look like it might be getting a little darker, even though it's not actually filling in anywhere. There you go. And congratulations, Kip. And Charge of Mopar, I'm not exactly new, 16 months, but yes, I said shed some hair after dropping 117 pounds, but now it seems to grow like crazy. And I think Nisha had that too. She lost hair initially, and then as her body weight stabilized and she got her Hashimoto's under control and everything else, I believe her hair has been coming back thicker than ever. You are very welcome. Boston says, when I'm not having beef, I like to have pork and lamb. How are you doing, Bob? I'm doing great, John. How about yourself? I like to have beef best. I don't buy lamb. I've had one leg of lamb in my entire carnivore journey because it was on a huge markdown sale at one of the grocery stores I go to. I have been getting pork roast a lot lately because even here in Nebraska where beef prices are cheap, it's a difference between I can go get a chuck roast for $5.50 to $6 a pound, or for the last several weeks, I've been able to get pork roasts anywhere between $1.69 a pound all the way down to, I found a couple of them that were $1.29 a pound. And that's too much of a savings not to take advantage of. I do not eat liver. I never eat liver. I don't eat any organ meats. I've had a grand total of 3 cans of sardines now because Craig sent them to me. And I have a sardine meal now about every other week or so. I don't really like sardines, but I can choke them down. I do not eat liver. If you want to eat liver, it's perfectly okay, as long as you do it in the correct proportions. And the example I have used in many cases, I've used many times, is that if you were by yourself out wherever and you had your sharp pointy stick and you went out and took down, say, a cow, and you had a way to preserve all that food, you didn't have to worry about refrigeration or any of that stuff. The meat would just last forever. Look at all of the meat and associated fat that you would get off of that cow versus the one liver. You would be able to have 3 or 4 full meals of liver, or you could divide it up and have maybe an ounce to 2, depending on how big the liver was, with every meal for a few weeks. But it certainly wouldn't be like some other channels might suggest that you eat liver, a full pound of it 2 or 3 times a week. I personally, if your body tolerates it, that's fine, but be aware, it's not the vitamin A toxicity that concerns some of the people that I follow, but liver can be very high in copper. And if you have problems metabolizing the copper out of your system, Paul sounded, you could run into other problems. I have some of the bronze medal foods also. Yeah, absolutely. There's no reason to limit yourself. None whatsoever. Now, as you get closer to goal, you may have to tighten things up and do a few different things like I'm doing right now, but you don't, there's no reason to worry about it at this point. And Teresa healed on grain-fed meat. Absolutely. Bert has arrived. Hello, Bert. Cod liver, huh? I sometimes mix up ground beef with chicken livers. Enough of a challenge for me. Yeah, and, back in the day, I used to eat chicken livers and chicken gizzards just because they were dirt cheap. I'd go to Miller's Poultry in Athens on the days they slaughtered. And as a student, I could get huge bags of already cooked, ready to go chicken livers and chicken gizzards for a really cheap price. I didn't like them. They were disgusting. But when you're on a student budget, you do what you have to do. Now that I am an adult, or mostly an adult, and am paying for all of my own food, I will eat what I choose to eat, and I'm not going to spend money on things I don't like. I hope you're having a great day, Bert. And there's the link for Dr. Berry's 13 Reasons for a Weight Loss Stall. And I think these are people just talking, working on a stall right now. Everyone talking to each other. Let me catch up on the comments here real quick. Think through the weekend if you have a smoker on your deck. Absolutely. Eating carnivore, or do I have to do fasting as well? You don't have to do fasting. And, I have done, I do intermittent fasting every day because I primarily only eat once a day. But even just like an 18-6, where you eat all your meals in a 6-hour feeding window and then fast for the rest of the day, You can do that. You can even, if you don't feel like you can make it that far, just, delay breakfast by an hour or so and then eat dinner an hour or so earlier than you normally would, and make sure you're eating enough so that you make it through the day. But as long as you're not having carbs, that's really the answer to reversing type 2 diabetes. You get better effects, and it happens faster if you're doing at least an OMAD, a fasting for 24 hours between meals with the occasional full day, 48-hour thrown in there, but it's not required. I mean, your body will eventually heal itself, and your type 2 diabetes will reverse regardless of how many times you're eating and how often you're eating and how much you're eating, as long as you're not pouring carbs down your throat. And Craig said, Bob, just the one, and it wasn't even my feet that I had trouble with on Tuesday. It was a couple of muscles that, amongst all of the other things I'm doing, I had not actually managed to get into. So that morning when I woke up after tap dancing on Monday, I had to do some stretches to get things moving again. We'll see how it goes. If it's as bad, maybe not. But we're going to try this for the entire summer session. So 8 weeks in a row with a week off for the 4th of July. And she has one other Monday where she has something else going on. So I think 7 of the next 9 Mondays I will be tap dancing. And it's a lot of fun. I'm also trying DDPY yoga because I need flexibility. Good luck with that. I know a lot of people are doing it. I choose to do other things for my movement. But if that's the movement that gets you up and moving, then by all means, absolutely, you go, Kip. Get it done. I just got diagnosed at a 6.6 A1C. Yeah. At 6.6, again, everybody's different, and this is not medical advice, but I've heard stories of people reversing as quickly as a month and a half to 2 months. Some people it may take 6 months. Some people it may take a year. But as long as you're not eating carbs and you're strict carnivore without any fasting, the next time, 6 months from now, when you go in for your next set of labs at a 6.6 A1C, it will probably be significantly lower. It may not be all the way to 5.6 or less yet, but I think you'll be very happy with your results after 6 months. I'm not on any meds. What's the fastest? Well, if you're not on any meds, the fastest way to do this is just stop eating. Fast and let your body live off the fat in your system. I don't recommend that. I would do one meal a day or whatever works for you. There is no one true way or one fastest way to get things done. You have to kind of play around with it and discover what works for you. My way of doing things may not work for you. Teresa's way of doing things may not work for you. We're just here to give you different ideas between, eating a strict carnivore diet, intermittent fasting, either a 6-18 eating window or one meal a day, or whatever it is. Whatever you can stick with is the fastest way for you to do that. Because if you go, I'm going to go one meal a day, but then 2 weeks into it, you get so overcome with hunger that you go to Papa John's and get 3 large pizzas. Well, you haven't gotten any benefit out of those 2 weeks of one meal a day, because you just did it all by eating 3 large pizzas. The thing you can stick with will be the fastest way for you. And yeah, I've seen a lot of people do that. They buy Redmond's actually sells like little salt blocks, salt crystals that people just lick on those. I don't buy those. I just, if I need a little shot of something, I will sometimes just reach into my salt container, grab a pinch of salt, throw it in my mouth. But everybody does that different by a little bit as well. I weighed and was up a bit, felt so discouraged. I weighed again, down 5 pounds in 2 days. Yeah, see, that's why I did the no scale May, to show that we can get by without the scale. Because our bodies, between electrolyte balances and retaining water and everything else, our weight or gravity exerted on the scale can fluctuate a lot. Which is why, if you're working with Professor K, he tells you to throw your scale away, and if he catches you on a scale, he will drop you as a client because he thinks the scale is completely counterproductive. I don't know that I would go that far with it, but because some people like to have that tool of the scale, just like some people like those, ketone checkers so that they can see how many ketones they have in their system. I don't really do any of that stuff. I know my pants are getting looser, so things are moving in the right direction. Hello, No Name. We really got to get you a name, No Name. And that's people talking. Dave Mack made a video about his bald spot. Yeah, he did. 2 or 3 days ago. Dave Mack, which is, what the heck's the name of his channel? At Zero Carb, I believe. But you know who Dave Mack is. The guy that lives in Japan. Go watch his videos. He just made one, I think it was 3 days ago, but it might be 4, that he talked about his bald spot is gone. Talking to Carnivore Kip. And Carson, I ordered smoked salt and I don't like it. Do they all taste similar or should I try a different brand? I like smoked meat. I just use Redmond's real salt, just their basic salt. And I did order their seasoned salt one time. It was okay, but me personally, I like just Redmond's real salt in large quantities on my meat. But if you don't like the way Redmond's tastes, you can try it. Now, if you're going to order like a Himalayan sea salt, make sure it's real Himalayan sea salt, which means it should be about as expensive as Redmond's or more. The big box stores will sell a fake pink Himalayan salt. It's basically just table salt that's been colored pink. So if you think, wow, that's a really good price, it's probably not real Himalayan salt. So just be aware of that. But, of course, the best thing to do is just get regular salt and then buy yourself a smoker. I'm sure Kip would talk you into that pretty quick. And that's talking to JM and talking to JM. And there we go. John is here. Just got home, decided to pop in and say hello. How are you today, John? I'm glad you're here. Overland Park, Kansas. Any neuropathy? Mine is awful. 4 Lyrica a day. I did not take Lyrica for neuropathy. I took it for my spinal stenosis pain. I was taking, when I first started this way of eating, I was taking 3 100 milligram Lyrica a day, and then I had tramadol to back that up when that wasn't enough, and now I take none of that. So a proper human diet will eventually, in most cases, help with some of that pain. Hello, Anna. As a frequent blood and platelet donor, I consume liver and or sardines prior to donation day. I only want my best going to needy recipients. I do not enjoy sardines liver. Yeah, and that may be a very good strategy. I don't know that much about it. I'm assuming that they would take my blood now since I haven't had a gout attack in forever, but I don't know that they would. I tried to donate blood 25 years ago, maybe even 30 years ago now, and they took and tested a drop of my blood and said, you have gout, we can't use your blood. So I've never been back, never tried to donate since, and I'm okay with that. You could eat some carbs, but then I would recommend fasting to give your pancreas a break from producing insulin. The advantage of carnivore is low insulin secretion, not fasting needed in this case. Eat when you're hungry, eat till you're full. That's the best way. And Addicted to Antlers is here. That's okay. You made it. That's great. I am glad you're here. And we're just about to wrap this up. I got to scroll on down here and see if we got any rapid fire questions I can get going here. Yeah, I'm going to stick. I'm not going back to eating carbs. And knowing what I know about vegetables now, I'm not going back to eating vegetables. There's no vegetables I like that well to eat the anti-nutrients that are in there. If you have not read Sally Norton's book, Toxic Superfoods, I suggest you do that, or at least go to the YouTube search bar and type in Sally Norton, and you'll find her talking about that on many different channels. And a little bit here and there, maybe a piece of birthday cake once a year or something here and there. But basically, I am carnivore, and I'm not ever going back. As many of you know, I just tried Keto Chow on Monday, and I have some more reviews of their products coming up. But I'm certainly not going to go to an all Keto Chow diet. I will have, as I said in Monday's video, Keto Chow makes a nice treat occasionally from time to time for people like us that tend not to eat that kind of stuff, because there is little acacia gum in it, which is a little bit of carb. There is a little bit of sucralose in it, which is a little bit of artificial sweetener. But for the most part, it's fairly clean. And as, like I said, an occasional treat from time to time, it's not too bad. It's one of those things that now that I know, because I tried it every day for a week just to see if I would have reaction to it, I did not. So now I know that if something happens and I need to go on an all liquid diet for a week or two, I have an option other than just grinding up my steak and drinking it through a straw. I had the spinal stenosis surgery. I'm sorry, but if it helped, fantastic. I chose not to go that route. But I certainly hope it helped you, and continuing to eat this way will eventually make things even better. We have enough grills and smokers. I should make some smoked salt. And I'm about to open a couple cans of sardines for dinner. Good for you, John. Let's see here. I don't eat them straight from the can. I put them in either bacon grease or lard or tallow or hot sauce and heat them up in the skillet. I do not eat them out of the can. No way, no how, never will. Yeah, Sally's book is great. Highly recommend. I learned a lot from it. Absolutely. Well, we are past the hour-long mark, and I need to start getting ready to head out the door. So don't forget, Thursday, June 22nd. That's next Thursday, I believe. Is that next Thursday? Let me look at my calendar. Yep, next Thursday, June 22nd at 6 p.m. Central is the members-only Zoom call. Don't forget to, if you want to get in on that, down below is link join the channel. On July the 27th, I'm having my meetup here in Omaha. That's the day before the Omaha Hard to Kill Summit starts on Friday and Saturday. That will also be a Thursday at 2 in the afternoon. We're going to meet at the miniature golf course. We're going to play miniature golf. We're going to grill up some hamburgers and just have a general good time the day before the Hard to Kill Omaha Summit. I want to thank you all for being here today. It's been great. Don't forget, get out there, be 1% better today, tomorrow, every day. Have a great day, folks. I will see you in the next one.